everyone, thank you for tuning in again. Welcome to my channel and welcome to this video here. I'm Birgit from Koba.Siani. As promised in the Emma sewing video, I'm talking today now about FBAs, means full bust adjustments. Of course, we all know that although we all have to work with standard measurement charts, there is no such thing as a standard figure. Everybody is different, and somebody who can sew is in the clear advantage that this person can adjust the pattern to one's body. And while pattern adjustments at the waist and the hip line are quite easy to make, this is also described in the Emma sewing instruction, adjustments in the bust area are a little bit more complicated. Of course, you can just choose the size according to your bust measurement and then adapt all other measurements. But for persons who have, for example, a smaller body frame here and a larger bust, this can lead to some problems. For example, when you choose a bigger size, also the armhole area is bigger, so this could also lead to sleeves which are too big. So these full bust adjustments, these pattern adaptations, are perfect for a figure which is not this big here around at the shoulders and everywhere, but have a larger bust measurement. Another problem is that this pleat here, which is quite normal with t-shirts because there is no dart here, could get too big, and this could look quite strange also. So normally, according to the standard measurement chart, you have to say that patterns are generally drafted for A to around C cups perhaps, so the B cup is the average, which is perfect for patterns. But if you are above, perhaps you would like to check your measurements, check the pattern and the fit, and think about an FBA for your pattern to improve the fit. In this video I'll show you two kinds of FBAs, a simple and quick one without darts, and another one where we will add a dart into the t-shirt. And I'll show you also how these adaptations change the pattern and the fit, with the example and the help of a dear test sewer. Say hello to Maike here, who documented the different fits of the different versions. And by the way, I know this method requires a little bit of calculating and seems to be a little bit complicated, so I'm here to help you. Just drop your measurements below in the comment section and we'll see how to calculate and which FBA to choose, and we'll figure it out. By the way, I'm showing you here the FBA on my pattern Emma, which I'm wearing here also, which is a quite tight shirt with a slightly dropped shoulder and a collar in one piece here. You can shop this pattern everywhere in my shops. The links you will find below this video here. But of course, both methods, which I'm talking about here in this video, can be done on all kinds of t-shirts. I just wanted to make another instruction video now that I've got a t-shirt pattern like this, so that you can adapt the pattern in the best way to your body. And as always, before we start really into the video, don't forget to like and to subscribe. This helps me a lot as a small creator. But now, without any further talking, let's start with the video. At first, before we're diving into the FBA methods, we need to take some measurements. So I would suggest when you're doing this on your own, doing in front of a mirror so that you can check the measuring tape. At first we start with bust measurement. Please check with all measurements that the tape is here parallel to the ground, that it's not too tight and not too loose. I also always put one finger in between here, and then you can read the number here and note this. Next, we need your high bust measurement. This is the measurement which is taken here above the bust. And again, we check here the tape, parallel to the ground, not too tight, finger in between, and then you can read here your measurement. Next we'll take the waist measurement, just with the same technique. Just breathe normally. Don't hold your breath or suck in your belly. After writing this down, we take the widest measurement, the hip measurement. Of course, not over your jeans. Just wear your underwear, of course. Again, we check the tape, how it's going, and write down this measurement. And then, if you're choosing the FBA with the dart, we need 2 more measurements. The chest point. At first, we're measuring here, just beside your neck here, where the neck starts, downwards to where your biggest chest point is, here. And the second measurement around the chest point is the distance in between the two. We're taking now the whole measurement, and afterwards we're dividing into 2 to draft really the pattern. So here at first you write down the whole distance between the 2 chest points here. Okay, now let's start into the first method, the simple FBA without darts.
But at first, of course, we have to choose the correct size. I'm now talking you through the process with the example measurements, which you can see here. You can check now if the waist and hip measurements are already near one specific size in the chart. Then you would choose that size as your base size to make the FBA. But this is not the case here. As you can see it here, the waist measurement is in between size 50 and 52, and the hip measurement is rather size 48. As these measurements don't give me a clear size, I'm now calculating a bit with the high bust measurement. So if we say now that patterns are generally drafted with or for a B cup, and a B cup means a 5 cm difference between the high bust and bust measurement, I've now calculated an imaginary B cup size with Maike's high bust measurement. Means I'm just adding 5 cm to her high bust measurement. Then I realized that both the imaginary chest measurement and her hip width were near size 48, and only the waist measurement was off. So I decided to choose size 48 as a base size to do the FBA and to just adapt the waist to fit her body. Here you can see what I mean. I'm choosing the pattern in size 48 and I'm just grading the waist to in between size 50 and 52. You can see here that the adapted side seam is quite straight, but we'll see later that the curve is coming back with the FBA. Of course, this waist adaptation has to be done in the front and the back part. The sleeve will be simply a size 48. Next, we'll calculate how much width is missing now in the chest area. We have a bust measurement of 112 cm according to the chosen size 48 in the measurement chart. But Maike's real bust measurement is 116 cm. So I take her real bust measurement minus the chart measurement, and this result is the missing width. This we have to divide by 2, because with patterns we almost always operate on half of the whole circumference. The result is the width we have to add during the FBA process. Another option to calculate the missing width is to subtract the upper bust measurement from the bust measurement. Also here, the difference has to be divided by 2 to have as a result the width you will add during the FBA. As you can see, the result here is much higher, and it's a bit difficult to say which calculation is the best. It's probably also a question of trial and error with your personal body shape. In the examples here in the video with Maike, we've applied this calculation for the simple and quick FBA and the other one with the imaginary chest measurement for the FBA with darts. The quick FBA I'm showing you on a smaller scale. Here you need your front pattern in your chosen base size and a bigger piece of paper underneath. At first we are copying some lines, and for this I always use pins to fix the paper layers on each other. Then I'm copying the outlines onto the new paper. Here please also don't forget the collar notch. This is specific for the Emma pattern, of course. Then we need a line which is parallel to the center front with a distance from the underarm here of the width, which should be added to the front part. In our example, this would be 5.5 centimeter or 2 centimeter, depending on the calculation method. Then we can remove the pins. Then the base pattern is held here at the shoulder point here, and it's turned like this until the point under the arm reaches the drawn line, which we've drawn before. Then the armhole can be copied again, of course including the sleeve notch, and this curve here will be the new armhole then. Next we use the point under the arm, the new one, as pivot point and turn the pattern back towards the center front until the waist on the base pattern reaches again the side seam of the copied pattern, means in my case the pattern on the blue paper. Then the new upper side seam can be drawn in. The lower side seam remains the same as before. Here you can see both armhole and upper side seam curves. The right one is the new and the left one is the old one. It's also obvious that we added now width to the chest area. As over a large chest area, also more length is needed. The center front is now extended. With the same amount, the chest area is broadened. After a right angle at the center front, this point is linked with a curve to the side seam. So this is already it. The quick FBA is done. We have more width in the chest area and also more length over the chest downwards.
Here you can see the result on Maike. You see the fit at the armhole is not that bad, but there is still quite a lot of width or the split here in this area. So after all, we can say that this simple FBA could be a good solution for not too big breasts. And I think this also depends on the pattern you're adjusting, but it's simple and I guess it's worth a try. Now off to the second type of FBA, we're adding a dart.
For the FBA with darts, we have to do a little bit more crafting work. So I'm showing you the adaptations both on a smaller scale and in 1x1, so that you have an idea how to handle the real life size pattern. At first, I'm preparing the pattern in the base size, here in our example size 48. And I'm making the adaptations at the waistline like I've shown you before. As I'm changing in between 3 sizes, I've only printed out these 3 sizes. Maike also wanted to have the collar in size 50, so I made this adaptation for her. This I'll show you in detail soon. The sleeve remains totally untouched in size 48. The waist and the collar adaptation are made in the front and the back part. Now just quickly to the collar width adaptation. Here at the collar fold point, I'm grading from size 48 to 50. And here in the corner, I'm going back to the line from the size 48. Then you can fold the pattern at the collar fold point and cut along the new contour. Like this, the new curve is mirrored and absolutely identical in the main layer and the facing layer. Now I'm really starting with the FBA at the front part. At first I have to draw in the chest point according to the measurements we've taken before. In our example, the distance of the chest point from the highest shoulder point is 32 centimeter. I'm measuring this downwards parallel to the center front. The distance in between the 2 chest points was 20 centimeter, so this I have to divide by 2 as we are drafting on the half of the front, and I'm marking the point 10 centimeter away from the center front. Measured in a right angle, of course. Now I need to draw in 4 lines in total. The first one goes from the lower third of the armhole to the chest point. Means you can let this line start just a little bit below the sleeve notch. The second line is for the future dart. It starts also at the chest point and goes to the side seam. Chest darts look best when they are tilted a little bit upwards, so I don't choose a right angle to the center front, but I move my ruler a little bit downwards towards the side seam. The third line again goes through the chest point and runs parallel to the center front. The last line connects the previous line with the center front in a 90-degree angle. It's situated more or less at the center between the hem or hip line and the chest point. Now I cut the pattern along the lines, but pay attention, at some points the pattern has to stay connected. These 2 points are at the armhole and at the dart line at the chest point. For the first cut I start at the hemline, cut over the chest point and then continue towards the armhole. But there I stop the cut just a few millimeters before the paper ends, so that the outline stays together. The dart line I start coming from the side seam, but again I stop this cut just a few millimeters before the chest point. So here also the pattern stays connected. The short horizontal line I cut completely. Here you can see already very well how the pattern can be moved now. Now the missing width can be added along the vertical line. I'm gluing now the original pattern on another piece of paper. For this you can also use, for example, an old newspaper. At first I'm gluing on the piece of the pattern with the collar, and then I move the side pieces towards the side, so that the space in between the center front piece and the side seam piece is parallel the 2 centimeters which we've calculated before. The small piece of the pattern at the armhole is just moving naturally alongside the bigger piece of the pattern at the side seam. Like this, I'm gluing the 3 pieces of the pattern onto the new paper. You will notice now that the pattern part at the side not only moved to the right, but also downwards. So the small part of the pattern at the center front hem is just following this movement. Of course, make sure that it stays along the center front line and glue it also on the paper. Like this, length is added to the front part, which is needed with bigger chests. Now we can draw in the new dart. The raw version of the dart starts at the chest point and goes in the straight line to the side seam. The second line goes like this, just according to the gaping which you can see at the side seam. As a dart which directly ends on the chest point is quite ugly and doesn't look good, we are shortening it now by 2 centimeters. These 2 centimeters apply to all sizes. In the clip here I didn't get the proportions right, by the way, I'm sorry for that. I've drawn the 2 centimeters too small. Here's again how the dart is shortened. You see the chest point marked with an X, the original raw dart in black, and the final dart in red. The new point of the dart is 2 centimeters away from the original chest point and is situated in between the 2 original dart sides, just right at the center. At the side seam, the dart goes through the same points as before. Okay, so then the pattern can be cut out. Please don't cut out exactly the area at the dart at the side seam. Just leave a corner of the paper there, so that we can figure out the correct shape of the side seam at the dart area more exactly in the next step. Because now we fold the dart, means we bring the 2 lines together, just like it will be sewn later on. The content of the dart is pointing downwards here. In this state, folded state, we cut now along the side seam. Like this we get the correct shape of it. Then the 3 dart notches are added, 2 at the side seam and 1 at the beginning of the dart or end of the dart in the middle of the pattern. The last thing to adapt now is the waist width, which is logic because we added width at the whole front part, but we only need this at the chest area, not at the waist or hip. So I take now the back and the front panel and reduce each the half of the width at the side seam. Means in this case we've added 2 cm in the front. Now I'm reducing 2 cm divided by 2, means 1 cm on each front and back side seam. And while I'm cutting this video, I'm realizing that I haven't reduced the width at the hip line. But the Emma is a very tight pattern anyways, so you will see it later on Maike that this mistake wasn't too obvious. At last, I just wanted to talk shortly about how to sew the dart in the t-shirt, just with this piece of fabric here. At first, I'm marking all the 3 notches, the 2 at the fabric border and the 1 dart notch within the pattern. Then I'm aligning the 2 notches at the fabric edge, and I make sure that the notch within the pattern is on this created fold line. For woven fabrics, I think this is enough preparation for sewing a dart. But with the elastic jersey fabric, I think it's more comfortable to mark the seam line in advance. When you're now at your overlock sewing machine, just check that the left needle is aligning with your marked seam line, and then you're good to sew. Like this, we are automatically cutting off the dart content, but the pattern is also perfect for leaving it there. So you could also use a narrow zigzag stitch to stitch along the marked seam line. I don't know if you really see it in the video, but darts are always sewn beginning at the fabric edge and ending within the pattern. In the end, I'm threading in the seam end of the overlock seam into this overlock seam. Then the dart should be pressed also, of course. I would press the seam downwards, and then the dart is ready.
Okay, so here you can see the result of this FBA with the dart in the t-shirt now on Maike. I think the fit is really very, very nice. This time we also chose even a smaller size for her and added the width only in the chest area. We are both really satisfied with the fit. And I think you can see that adding a dart is really the best when you have a really large chest. But all these methods really depend on what kind of fabric you're using, which elasticity has got this fabric, how is the pattern exactly. So before you can never really say at 100% with methods to choose. So I think you should just try out what's the best solution for your personal body shape, the pattern you're using, etc. But as I've already mentioned, I'm here to help you. Let's just chat in the comments about which method to choose for yourself, or if you have any questions about this. Okay, these were the 2 FBA methods. I hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. Yes, what do you think? Is this something you should try out? Leave me a comment. I hope you liked the video and that you found it helpful. I hope to see you very soon again to my next video. Take care until then. Bye!